A Torah is the most important part of Judaism. What Judaism is all about. Some of us think it's just a religion. Some of it are not religious, just a people. Some of us are very cultural. And of course, we have Israel, which is a nation. All of that is wrapped up in every week. A portion of a Torah is read at a synagogue on Saturday mornings on Shabbos, the most important day. In Judaism, we have a holiday every week. That holiday is called Shabbat. And on Shabbat, the heart of the service is what we see. But this Torah, as we have a people, a culture, a religion, a nation that goes back thousands of years, this was part of a synagogue in Czechoslovakia. And all of us are familiar with the Holocaust and the tragedies when a third of the Jewish people were slaughtered by the Nazis. The living nature of what this is was of a community outside of Prague in Czechoslovakia where there were many, many Jews, 6 million, who then so few survived. But this Torah, which was one of 1,564 Torahs, was found 20 years after the war ended, because the Nazis, with their whatever they were trying to do, it is rumored they were trying to have a museum of an extinct people. So they actually collected Jewish artifacts. More than an artifact is a Torah, which is the life of the Jewish people. They were found in a synagogue far outside Prague in the mid-60s. There was a donor from a synagogue in London who was brought in, and for whether it was 20, 25,000, I forget it was, they were able to buy these 1,564 Torah scrolls and bring them to London. They were brought to London as part of what was then formed the Memorial Scrolls Trust. And many of these Torahs, many of them could not be fixed. Some of them actually could. There was a scribe is someone who writes a Torah. These are all written by hand, by the way. This is not machine written, meticulously. Every letter that you see on this Torah is written by someone skilled who by hand writes letter by letter by letter by letter. And what this is on parchment, sheep parchment, animal parchment. This is not paper, and it can last for centuries. But when a Torah is damaged, and if it's not perfect, it cannot be used in a synagogue in a service. This Torah, you see a birthmark. That's when the Nazis came in the early 40s and took away, killed, murdered, slaughtered the people of this town of Pisak Strakonici, which was about 40 miles from Prague. But then this Torah that survived as artifacts of Judaism were collected with this deranged mentality of the Nazis and brought to Prague and then found its way to London. In 1990, as these Torahs were being distributed to synagogues, Jewish community centers, other Jewish institutions around the world, one that could not be used in synagogue, we were able to acquire it for Ohev Shalom congregation. In 1990, we had a synagogue building in York on the east side. As changing demographics occur in our community, we now do our religious services at Temple Beth Israel. And as we moved as a congregation, so did this Torah. So for 16 years, it was in Eastern Boulevard. 16 years from 2006 till today. It was next door at Temple Beth Israel. But where it was located, I realized, the community, the board realized, it could be somewhere where more people can see it. as our community, as York is a welcoming community for so many people. We are also blessed to live, to work, to be able to give back to this community. We have our phenomenal Holocaust Memorial, which is world-renowned, unique. And now, what a great place to have this Torah. So not only do they see that phenomenal memorial, but they also see this as they leave the building. And they will leave this building. They walk into the building and see and get inspired by the 6 million and what those people would see if they lived today. And they get inspired when they leave the Jewish Community Center now by why they were here and the values and the Jewish values of a history, a culture, a religion, and a people that they all share in their universal values. These are not Jewish values. These are universal values. This represents those universal values for our York community to go from strength to greater strength.
Elliot, once the board of TBI and OF Shalom decided to make the move and bring the Torah to the JCC, it could have been brought here any day of the year. What does it mean to you to have it brought on the very evening of Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Remembrance Day?
Okay, what it means is absolutely what a fitting time as we go about our lives. And like I said, we have holidays throughout the year. So many Jews have so many holidays. And again, we have holidays every week called Shabbat. But this is a very special day, which really gives Yom HaShoah, the day of the Holocaust, a special meaning because it inspires us in this phenomenal building of which we serve the entire community, not just the Jewish community, which is only a small fraction of the membership of this building. But again, those universal values which this community aspires to, emulates, works towards, that we can be a community of peace and diversity and respect everyone's values on Yom HaShoah and make the world a better place tomorrow than when we found it today.